I'm heading to Wayne
Hey,
Tower.
what's up everyone? Nick here. Welcome back to the Arkham Knight Knightmare Difficulty walkthrough. And we are moving on, I guess this would be part 5 in the walkthrough. And, you know, I kind of hate to say it, but again, kind of with the last part of the series, it kind of just feels like we're doing a whole lot of nothing in this part of the game. I've mentioned it in a couple of the other videos that one of the things this game does is it kind of just puts a bunch of random quests in your path, and it kind of steers you away from the main quest at certain points, or you just do things that don't seem very crucial to the main story. That being said, you know, the things that we get to do are fun. Like, you know, just this little skirmish right here in the Batmobile, still a fun little thing to do, but like I've said in the past, the game just tends to kind of overdo these types of things to where they kind of lose their originality that they have earlier on in the game. That being said, this is still a fun section of the game. I think the things that we have to do are still pretty enjoyable. And in fact, if you paid attention to my commentary, I think maybe not in this game, but somewhere in one of the Arkham games, I must have said who my favorite DC hero is. Most of you probably thought it was Batman, but it's not. Well, I would say Batman either ties for first or is a very, very, very close second. But the person who I consider my favorite DC or not just DC, my favorite superhero, makes an appearance in this video, which I'm really looking forward to. That will come near the end, somewhere around the 20-minute mark. But anyway, we have a cool little objective right now. We're actually going into Wayne Tower. This is something we've never done in any of the Arkham games, and we're actually going to meet Lucius Fox face to face. So go ahead and enjoy this little dialogue / cutscene. Open the doors, and yeah, this is a cool part because Lucius is a pretty important character in the Batman universe.
Nice of you to drop in, Mr. Wayne. I suppose you weren't really dressed for the front entrance.
Have you finished the decryption?
Fully decoded. I've downloaded all recent militia radio transmissions and their corresponding coordinates to your machine.
Thanks, Lucius. I can scan the network for the Arkham Knight's voice print and determine the location of his last broadcast.
Identity confirmed. Good evening, Mr. Wayne. Upload waveform for analysis.
Now I've waited long enough. Batman dies. Tonight.
Scanning communications for voice print match. Location verified.
Got it. The Knight's transmitting from the Miyagani tunnel network.
Glad to be of assistance, Mr. Wayne. While you're here, we've been working on some further upgrades for your car. Let me know where you'd like us to focus our efforts.
Alright, so right here you're given a choice between two upgrades. Both of them are going to affect the Batmobile. At the end of the day, I wouldn't say it really matters what one you choose. I typically don't even pay attention to those Batmobile, those specific ones, because that's going to happen a couple other times. Lucius is gonna get in contact with you a couple times saying, hey, I'm able to give the Batmobile another upgrade, which one do you want? And then you'll just choose between the two. But it's, in my opinion, it's not really important. Like, it's another one of those kind of cool features that they threw in there that ultimately doesn't really amount to much, but it's still cool that they took the time to throw it in there. Little Easter egg right there. I don't know if you saw the sign on that hospital. It was called the Elliott Memorial Hospital. That's actually for the Elliots. So one of Batman's most famous... Actually, I wouldn't call him one of the most famous villains because you probably don't know him unless you read the comic books. But there's a Batman villain by the name of Hush. And his real name is Tommy Elliott. He's a little rich kid that grew up with Bruce Wayne. They're about the same age. And... Thomas Elliott, he ended up killing his parents and taking on this persona of Hush. So yeah, the point is that's a little nod to Hush right there, the Elliott Memorial Hospital. And you can actually spot a lot of those things in this game. I obviously can't point every single one out because one, I didn't take the time to go to each one, and two, sometimes I don't even notice them while I'm playing. But there are a lot of those little Easter eggs in there, and in fact, one of the most important ones is probably not a visual, but more of a dialogue. A lot of times when you're riding through Gotham, you can hear, because Batman can hear what the criminals are saying. The criminals will mention Lex Luthor and Metropolis, and I think they even go as far to mention Superman, which is kind of cool. You know, that's always one of the bigger questions that arises in these games and television shows, like in the show Arrow, which focuses on Green Arrow. Everyone's question is always like, oh, does Batman exist in the Arrowverse, which is what it's come to be known as.
Have you made any progress on the cure?
Getting there. Hey, I haven't heard from Barbara for a while. Is she okay?
She's fine. She's working on something for me. It's important.
But she's safe, right?
Don't worry, Tim. Just keep working on that cure.
Alright, so lying to Robin, probably not the best idea, but that's Batman for you. Anyway, yeah, like I was saying, there's just a lot of cool Easter eggs within this, within the map of this game, and if you're playing the game for yourself, I would encourage you to fly around and look for them. However, a lot of them you probably wouldn't notice if you don't know much about the DC and the Batman universes. So I don't know. Actually, if you are interested, I'm sure there's videos on YouTube like, you know, all Easter eggs in Arkham Knight, and they probably do a good job at showing you each one. Actually, I should probably check out one of those videos, because I've seen a lot, but I'm sure there's a couple I might have missed, because I'm not typically too observant while I'm playing a game. I'm focused more on the main game, not the environment. Anyway, so go ahead and use the remote batarang, and you'll slow down this fan, or you'll do something. I don't know what's going on. Which probably isn't good considering I'm the one making the walkthrough. No, like I said, you know, I said at the very beginning of this walkthrough, this game's really not that difficult on the hardest setting, and this is going to be more like a playthrough than a walkthrough, because, you know, everything I'm doing here, it's not like you actually need my help. Like, you don't need me to tell you to use your line launcher to cross that gap. You just do it. You don't really need me to tell you to use a remote batarang. You just do it. So yeah, a lot of the things in this game, I wouldn't say necessarily require a walkthrough, which is why I'm trying to treat this more like a playthrough, which is something I've done in my other Arkham series as well. So right there, you actually are going to go into that doorway with the line launcher, do that cool little move. Alright, and so in this part here, you don't actually want to drop down, because there is a drone in the area, and the drones will kill you basically on sight if you drop down. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to use these vents to get into a little back room, and when we get there, we're going to meet character. And so I'll let you enjoy that little cutscene, but go ahead and just sneak through the vents, get to that room, and then there'll be a very brief interaction before the fight.
You're not going anywhere. Dry-weave titanium-coated armor plate. Nice. Unless you know exactly where to shoot.
Still, not all of us are so lucky.
You're good, Dark Knight. Even better than I remember. It's gonna make it even more satisfying when I kill you. Oh, and don't worry about Barbara. I'll take better care of her than you ever did. Batman's in the control room. Show him what happens when he messes with minds.
You're not getting through me!
Alright, so now we're introduced to a new type of enemy, one of these big guys. The way you're going to want to take them down is do a triple stun with the Bat Cape. Just with the cape. What am I saying? But you're going to want to do a triple stun. You do that by pressing circle 3 times or B 3 times, depending on your console. If you're playing on computer, then God help you, I don't know what the controls are for that. But yeah, and then once you take out the big guy, the rest of the fight is pretty standard. Build up your combo, use the instant takedown on the ninja enemies, and you should be good to go. Actually, that being said, that's something I hadn't considered, but something I'll share with you in case you didn't know. When this game came out, oh, real quick, so things do get a bit tougher here because another big guy is going to enter the area. So what I recommend doing is building up your meter, building up your combo meter, and then using the instant takedown on the big guy instead of the ninjas. And that will kind of strip him of his first layer of armor, making your job slightly easier. Once again, I built up my combo. Right there, I tried to use the instant takedown on the big guy, but I missed it, got one of the other guys instead. So I'm just going to keep jumping around until I build up that combo meter one more time. Now I'm going to do it on the big guy once more, and he's out for good. So the big guys, unlike the little guys, you can still take them out with an instant takedown, but it will take 2 instead of 1. So you got to be a little more aggressive with those. Anyway, another wave of enemies is going to come in. There are a lot of enemies in this fight. Luckily, they do come in small waves, but now you can see that there's a medic in the area. So as always, our rule of thumb is to isolate the medics and take them out as quickly as possible. Best way to do that, if you have an instant takedown, use it on the medic. If you do not have an instant takedown, you might want to consider doing a triple stun on the medic. So you saw me do the triple stun on the big guy, and all that did was kind of make him sway a little bit so that I could punch him. If you triple stun the little guys, they'll straight up fall down, and they'll stay down for about 20 seconds. So maybe not 20, maybe like 15 seconds. But the point is, if you need to get those medics out and you don't have a combo or anything, you might just want to use a little triple stun. But anyway, yeah, so an interesting piece of knowledge, when this game came out, I think it was back in 2000, the summer of 2015, when this game came out, it was originally, I don't want to say controversial, but there was a lot of talk about it in the news, at least in the gaming news, because the PC version was apparently just littered with bugs. Like, you couldn't even play it. You could not get through the game. It was abysmal. Everything about the computer version of this game was terrible. Rocksteady released a statement, right away saying, hey, we're on it, we're gonna fix all the problems. And from what I understand, and again, keep in mind, I do not play computer, so I didn't get this on the computer. So I don't know too specifically what the problems were, but what I do know is that they kept saying they were going to fix them, they kept saying it, and either it took a really long time, or they never ended up fixing them. I don't know for sure, but I do know that for those of you who wanted to, for those that wanted to play on the computer, they were left very dissatisfied for quite a while. Because of all the problems this game had. So maybe it's not the master race after all, but I don't want to start an argument over that. Anyway, so now you're going to see that this vehicle takes off and we have to trail it. We did something very similar to this in the first video of the walkthrough, I believe. You're going to be chasing the vehicle. There's going to be a couple little guys in your way, so just, try to keep steady, lock onto them, and then as soon as you lock on, launch those missiles. You'll take them out with a cool little slow-mo sequence as shown right there. And slowly but surely, you're just going to work your way up to the actual target vehicle, and you're going to, shoot it with missiles, damage it until you're able to catch up and interrogate the driver. But anyway, so I was talking about how, coming up in about 7 minutes, we're going to be introduced to my favorite superhero of all time. And so I'll kind of lead up to that with a little, I'll lead up to that by telling you my third and second favorite heroes. So my third favorite superhero is Green Arrow. Green Arrow is a character that I didn't know too much about until a couple years ago. So I didn't know too much about him, and then especially because he just has never been as popular. But then a couple years ago, they started this television show, The Arrow. So real quick, check this out.
How does it feel to be chasing the wrong man?
So that guy was using a voice synthesizer, but luckily we can use that technology later on. So
Where is the Arkham Knight?
Turned out to be rather stupid of him.
You won't find him.
Now this part's kind of cool. You actually
Tracking my broadcast location? Here's a lesson, Batman. I know how you think, which means I know how to beat you.
Anyway, you're gonna do a kind of a cool interrogation with this guy. You're gonna bring the Batmobile tires right up to his head.
Can you imagine what the Knight's going to do to her?
It's pretty brutal, actually.
What are you doing?
Yeah, you can see how he's remote controlling it. Anyway, so yeah, like I was saying, I didn't know too much about the Green Arrow until a few years ago. I think it was like back in 2000, I want to say 2013, maybe 2014. I started watching the show Arrow from the first season, and I really liked the show. The guy that they got to play the Arrow, Stephen Amell, he is perfect. Like, he was born for that role. And so from that show, I started to gain an interest in Green Arrow, and I started reading his comics, and I really, really started to like that character. So he's actually my third favorite. Batman is my second favorite, for obvious reasons. You know, Batman was... Well, I'm not going to get into that because I could talk about it forever, but Batman is my second favorite superhero. Very, very, very closely tied for number one. Now, right there was a cut in the video because, as I mentioned at the beginning of this walkthrough, I had to download my no commentary walkthrough, so I had to make some edits at certain places. You didn't miss anything, don't worry. It was just a little cut in the video that I had to do.
I can see Mr. Fox is trying to contact you.
Lucius.
Mr. Wayne, your new Batmobile upgrade is ready to deploy. The Batwing is en route to Grand Avenue.
So here we go, the upgrade that we chose earlier, it's now ready to install, so we just have to go real quick and get that fixed up. But anyway, so there's your kind of hints. My third favorite hero is Arrow. My second favorite, I should say Green Arrow. My second favorite hero is Batman. So who is my first favorite hero, if you don't happen to already remember from my earlier commentaries? Well, like I said, we're going to be introduced to him pretty quickly, but I'll give you a hint. He shares the same quality of Batman and Green Arrow in the sense that he is just a regular guy, no superpowers, and just a very, very well-trained individual. So I'll allow you to mull that over, think about it a bit. And like I said, we're going to meet him pretty soon. Alright, so now we have another Batmobile encounter. If you can actually see, so there's two little Easter eggs here. On the right, there's a Johnny Charisma sign on the marquee. Johnny Charisma is a character that we're going to meet later on. We actually met him once already. He was one of the people that was locked up in Panessa Studios that was infected with the Joker's blood. On the left side, the sign says Black Canary's Club. Black Canary is another DC superhero. It depends on if you're reading the comics or watching the show what her powers actually are, but basically she does this thing. I mean, first off, she's a fantastic fighter, but she also I guess her specialty move is the Canary Cry. You know, in some incantations, she actually has like a metahuman ability to make this high-frequency noise. In the shows, it's just like a gadget that she wears around her neck that allows her to scream at a very high pitch. So it depends on where you're seeing it, but that's a little bit about Black Canary. That sign right there, Ferris Mall, I never saw that one before, but Ferris, that could be... Probably not, but in the Green Lantern universe, in Emerald City, there's Carol Ferris, and that's like Green Lantern's love interest, and her dad is like Ferris Air Base or something. I doubt it's the same thing, but it's at least the same name.
In the meantime, sir, scans have established that the Arkham Knight has mobilized his senior lieutenants in armored personnel carriers throughout the city. We currently have a lock on one such vehicle, should you wish to intervene and remove them from the battle.
Alright, so once again, you're going to be given the choice to engage in a side quest, but like I said, we're going to just ignore that, and we're going to stick to the main, quest. And there we go. So Alfred actually said it, Batman just confirmed it. We are on our way to meet Nightwing, my favorite superhero. We're going to meet him on this rooftop right here, and we're actually going to get to do a mission with him. So go ahead and check out this cutscene featuring my favorite hero.
The train yard, Batman. Come to the train yard.
Still lurking around on rooftops.
You shouldn't have come here. Not tonight.
Are you kidding me? When I heard about Barb...
North Refrigeration. Tell me what you know.
Penguin's using freezer trucks to smuggle weapons out of Bloodhaven. Now, I think he's stockpiling arms right here in Gotham. The question is where.
Cobblepot's the best lead we have on Barbara. I need to find that weapons cache. If I can intercept one of his trucks, it'll lead me right to him.
Huh. If only you knew someone who's been tracking their movements. What? You didn't really think I'd come here without a plan, did you?
I'll handle this. You're needed back in Bloodhaven.
Come on, Bruce. Look, let me help. You can't do it all on your own.
It's too dangerous. I won't risk losing anyone else. Bloodhaven needs you.
All right. I can take a hint. But if you want to keep tabs on that truck, you're gonna need this. It's a prototype straight out of R&D. The old fox has outdone himself this time. I'll see you around, Bruce.
I can disable enemy weapons using disruptors.
All right, so I was really excited when this happened in the game because we haven't actually seen Nightwing. We haven't seen him in any of the other Arkham games, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure I'm remembering. In Arkham City, in the combat trials, which wasn't part of the main story, it was just like a side mode. You could play as Nightwing in the DLC stuff, but you didn't actually meet him in the main story. So Nightwing, I'll give you guys a little history lesson. I've said it a couple times, but Nightwing, one of the reasons he's my favorite hero is because he is actually the original Robin. So his real name is Richard Grayson, or Dick Grayson is what everyone calls him. And he grew up in a family circus act known as the Flying Graysons, a family of trapeze artists. Now again, it kind of depends on where you're reading the history, if it's from the comics or from something else, but essentially what you need to know is that his parents were killed and he had no family. And so Bruce Wayne actually adopted him as a boy. You know, he was still a kid. He adopted him, and one thing led to another, and he ended up, you know, with his natural circus abilities. Bruce trained him how to fight and how to be, you know, a detective. And he ended up becoming the first Robin, the Boy Wonder. So if you've ever seen one of the retro Batman comics, if you've ever seen the show with Adam West in the 60s, that Robin, that's Dick Grayson. That's the original Boy Wonder. And so what ends up happening is, you know, he grows up, he becomes a teenager, and he reaches a point where he says, you know, I don't think I should be the Boy Wonder anymore. I need to craft my own identity. And thus, he becomes Nightwing. And as Nightwing, he becomes basically the leader of the Teen Titans, until eventually he moves on to Bloodhaven, which is another city in the DC universe, and he becomes basically that city's protector. So I don't recall where it is I actually first heard or first found out who Nightwing was. I think what happened is, back in 2011, when DC started their comic books over again with the New 52, the only one that I read was Batman. That was the only comic I picked up at the time, because that was the only hero I was interested in. And in the Batman comic, you see Nightwing a lot, and so I started to get introduced to this guy Nightwing, and I was like, who the hell is this? I've never heard of him before. And then so, you know, surely enough, I looked into it, and I looked into his history, found out he was the first Robin, and then that ended up being the second comic book that I ever collected was Nightwing, which I was introduced to through the Batman comics, and I really just started to like Nightwing because he's very similar to Batman, but at the same time, he's completely his own person. You know, he went through the same thing as Bruce Wayne. His parents were killed as a kid, and you know, where Bruce took that and turned it into this very dark, brooding persona, Nightwing is a very kind of charismatic, funny guy. You know, he's always cracking jokes while he's fighting crime. And one of my favorite things in the comic books is Nightwing always talks about how it was because of Batman, it was because of Bruce Wayne that he ended up like that. You know, Bruce trained him, but he also you know, he wanted Nightwing to grow up not like Bruce grew up. He didn't want Nightwing to have this hatred of being happy, you know, like Batman has. And so Batman is a lot of the reason why Nightwing is such a different character, because Batman didn't want him to go through what he went through, which is really cool. Let's see, what other information can I tell you? One of the things is the origin of the name Nightwing. They actually addressed that in the newer comic books in the DC Rebirth. In fact, in like the very first Nightwing comic of Rebirth, of DC Rebirth, he talks about, I think he talked about this too in New 52, I can't remember, but believe it or not, Nightwing got the name Nightwing not from Batman, but from Superman. Superman and Dick Grayson are very close. And one day, Superman was telling Nightwing about these two heroes on the planet Krypton, Nightwing and someone else, like Bluebird or something. I can't remember the other one's name, but he told them about these two heroes of Krypton, and one of them was named Nightwing. And Dick Grayson ended up kind of resonating with that story and with that person, and ended up, you know, using that as his name as well. So I think it's kind of cool because, I mean, Nightwing even says this in the comic book, but most people would think that the name Nightwing comes from, you know, night, like Batman goes out at night, and then wing, bats have wings. I mean, that's kind of the obvious thought behind it. So I don't think anyone would ever think that it was Superman who gave him the idea. But sure enough, that's what it is in the canon comic book universe. Anyway, so yeah, you're going to you have a stealth encounter right here. Not too much to worry about, but as you did see, there is a automated turret in the area, so you want to make sure to avoid that. Typically what I'll do to finish these stealth sections quickly is, once there's only like 2 guys left, I'll just throw a smoke grenade and take them out with combat, because why not? It's quicker.
This must be the way inside.
Alright, so we are here. This is where Penguin is holed up, and we're gonna get to meet up with him. So go ahead and sneak through these vents. You'll end up attacking him from the floor. I'll let you enjoy that dialogue uninterrupted, and then we're going to get into a little skirmish with Penguin's thugs. Nothing too bad, just something we got to get through.
He doesn't even know you're here. Come on.
Couldn't even keep up with you two in a crappy little...
The Arkham Knight, Barbara Gordon. Tell me where they are.
So that's who we had. The Commissioner's little girl.
I'll break every bone in your body, Cobblepot.
They were going to see some geezer called Simon Stagg. I think he runs a pharmaceutical company or something.
Do not lie to me.
I'm not, I swear. They said he's about to leave Gotham. Those airships over the West River, it belonged to him.
Put him down! We'll shoot, Bat! 5! Drop him! 4! We'll kill you, we don't care!
Won't do you any good! Scarecrow's gonna break you. You are going down, Batman.
Hold him steady, fellas. I've been working on my swing. Watch and learn. Gonna knock his head right out of the...
This is you handling it, right? Now, don't worry. You can thank me later.
He ain't got a chance in hell.
Alright guys, so we're almost done with this part of the walkthrough. We're going to have another fight in here. Now this is basically identical to the fight we had with Catwoman and Riddler's robots. It's another one of those two people fights. So again, you can do that same thing once you build up your combo meter. You can do that awesome dual combat takedown, and that allows you to fight as Nightwing now, which is really cool. I loved this. I loved this so much, getting to fight as my favorite hero. And one of the things I liked a lot, a very small thing, but I love that they chose to make Nightwing's outfit black and blue. Now, usually it is black and blue, but one thing you need to know is in the New 52 comics, they actually changed it, and it was black, red, and blue, and it still looked pretty cool. Don't get me wrong, I liked it. but it didn't beat the original black and blue. So I'm really glad they ended up going with that. One thing I'm not too crazy about is, actually I can't remember if it's in this game or not, because I can't really see his face. I'll have to wait for the next cutscene to pay attention to it. I think it's his mask. I wasn't a big fan of his mask in this game. Again, I'm gonna have to wait for the cutscene because I wasn't paying attention earlier. But let me confirm that. I'll look a little later. But anyway, again, this just becomes basically a normal fight. It shouldn't be anything difficult. So go ahead and take everyone out. And once you do that, you'll have another brief piece of dialogue with Nightwing before being able to carry on.
This cache needs to be destroyed.
Bruce, you need to let me help.
I had it under control. I told you, I need you back in Bloodhaven.
Now, Scarecrow, these weapons, this all affects Bloodhaven too. The best place for me is here. Look, with the amount of weapons Penguin has been running into Gotham, this cannot be everything.
He must have other caches in the city. Search this place for evidence. It should help us locate more of Penguin's refrigeration trucks.
Alright, so this is going to be the last little stretch of gameplay. You're going to want to make sure to blow up this stuff with the explosive gel. It is going to cause a big explosion, so make sure before you detonate you actually shut the vault. But yeah, so what I was talking about before that little dialogue with Nightwing, I love that they made his uniform black and blue. The one thing I'm not a big fan of is the mask. Typically Nightwing's mask, it's just a mask over his eyes, like a I don't know how to explain it. It's just a mask over the eyes. It doesn't actually attach to the rest of the uniform. Think of it just like a pair of glasses. You just can take it on and off. But the way it is in this game, yeah, they actually have it like his eye mask is connected to the rest of his costume, which not a big deal, but I just personally don't like that look. But it is what it is. It's still amazing to have Nightwing in the game. So anyway, once again, like a lot of other things in this game, this ends up becoming a side quest. So the first one is mandatory. You have to do it as part of the main story. But from now on, every time you get an update from Nightwing saying, hey, I found another one of Penguin's crew, it's just going to be a side quest opportunity. So unfortunately, I don't believe we're going to be seeing Nightwing anymore, but that's okay. At least we got to see him while it lasted. Anyway, before this video ends, we're going to have one last thing to do. It's really funny how Joker behaves in Batman's head. But anyway, you're going to get kind of cornered by some enemies right here. And so what you're going to have to do is grapple up to the rafters to you know, keep yourself alive. And then take remote control of the Batmobile and steer it over to the parking garage that's across from us. So you should see it right here on the left. Go ahead and make your way up to the roof. Almost there. Alright, now from the roof, you're just going to destroy everything that is blocking our way, and that will be the end of this video. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Like and subscribe if you get the chance. Hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you in the next video, part 6.